Welcome to the I-80 Club Saturday morning coffee show. Josh and Jack with you. It's freezing outside. Hello, Jack.
Hello. Popped the top on the DMD, ready to go.
Let's go, baby. Welcome in, everybody. If you're joining us live this morning on the I-80 Club YouTube channel and you have not liked nor subscribed, we would love to have you do so. And, of course, as always, if you want more from us, bonus episodes. We recorded one on Thursday, a chat sack episode. You can get all sorts of stuff, volleyball state and more, access to the Discord server at patreon.com/I80 Club. Jack, it's been a busy start to the new year for the I-80 Club. I don't know if people have seen this. We have a daily podcast now on our YouTube feed with Mike Schaefer.
It's the cool thing to do. We've started a trend, adding Mike Schaefer to shows. Once again, I-80 has been the trendsetter of the local sports media world. It's not it's old hat to us, but not surprised. Sure. Not surprised that happens. Unemployed has been great. I want to be like, hey, everybody needs to watch it, but everybody kind of already is, except for on Fridays, you jerks.
Hey, I saw this, Jack. So I was looking through some of the numbers. First of all, your episode beat Brian Christopherson, so shout out to you.
How's that taste, BC?
Yeah. Also, you ready for this, Jack? The most downloaded episode in the history of Unemployed with Mike Schaefer? Last Friday's episode. So the people are saying, what? Sir, most downloaded. I didn't say most watched. I just said most downloaded.
Do you mean like via the podcast?
Via the podcast. They love your voice. Maybe they hate your face. Maybe they just like your voice.
That's fine. I kind of feel that way. So that's great. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
That's very encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah. We love that we have Mike Schaefer here and that we started a trend of people wanting him hired. Go us. Not to brag. Not to brag.
So we got that going on. We got Nebrasketball hour coming up today after the
5:30-ish.
About 5:30-ish because it's a 3:00 start. So we usually go between 15 and 30 minutes after the game ends. We usually try and send out a time a few minutes after the game's over when Caleb and I, it'll be mainly on Caleb's schedule because it's a road game. So I'll be available. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yep.
So we'll go for an hour after the game, talk about what happened. Hopefully I don't know if this, I need to act like I've been there. So I don't think I'll bring the bourbon down tonight like I did after Illinois and after what other game? And Indiana. So probably a no bourbon.
No, you didn't have the bourbon with Indiana because that was the one that you did.
That was what I did with Johnny. That was what I did with Johnny.
Yeah. Was it Michigan State? It was Michigan State.
Yeah, I don't think I don't want Rank and Jamarcus to be mad at me if I break out the bourbon after a Northwestern win.
We don't make bourbon after a Saturday Northwestern game. This isn't even the Big Ten tournament yet.
Maybe just another Diet Mountain Dew or a Natty Light, or I don't know what we'll do to celebrate that. So that'll be coming up.
Yeah.
And then, all the other normal stuff as well. If you want to be a member, if you hear us talking to some commenters and you're like, hey, I'm posting in the YouTube. Well, that's because the commenters are members of the club and they're chatting in the Discord. And that's one of the many benefits you get if you become a member and you support us. So please consider doing that. Patreon.com/I80 Club.
Corny writes, a road win in the Big Ten is a road win. Celebrate accordingly.
Okay, there's a vote for bourbon, Rank.
There is a vote for bourbon. Nebraska, a 4.5 or a 5.5 point favorite. It's right around there. Bart has them winning by 5 points exactly and moving to 18-0 on the season.
And then can I, unless there's any other sort of baseline things that we need to promote or introduce?
Nope, we're good. Let's dive right into whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I got a special one more thing.
Okay.
We started late today because I get lost in projects and I get uber focused on them, and that happened. It's not surprising. I do it all the time. Yeah. But it's a great project. It's worth it.
Oh.
Josh, I am going to be sending you after this show is over or probably discussing with you
Grunt Kick Chronicles Season 2?
No. Although I have some ideas on that end too. No,
people keep asking us to do a Nebraska basketball.
Actually, there may be a groin kick. There may be a new iteration of Groin Kick Chronicles this summer. Actually, kind of you know how sometimes you play a song, it's like remastered in 2022 from an old song. there's a chance we have a little bit of an expanded version of Growing Kick Chronicles. That
we do have all sorts of things. There's like one tiny bit that we need to fix with one episode from last year, and once we do that, then we can release the extended.
We might do our YouTube versions.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's that one episode where everything broke. So we'll get that fixed. Anyway, what are you? What are you talking about?
I am doing everything I can because 2 years ago when Nebraska went to the NCAA tournament, I was not there. I had people who were like way more upset than I was that I wasn't there. I had to work. It was expensive. There's a variety of reasons I did not go. We're not going to make that mistake this year. I am going to get there, but the best way for me to get there is by bringing the entire club with me.
What, every subscriber?
Well, they'll have to pay their own way, but the people who are I would like to bring, I'm hoping to bring, at very least, the two of us plus Caleb plus Schaefer.
Hello.
And set up down there, and wherever it is, whether we're in Greenville or whether we're in Portland or whether we're in St. Louis or whether we're in Buffalo or San Diego City or Oklahoma, we're going to Oklahoma City.
Shout out to the millennials and the old heads who can remember 04.
And so I am, now comes the pitch, but it's not really to you guys. It's to our sponsors or our potential sponsors we have put together, and we'll be unveiling, I think later today, our different package levels if you want to support us going to the NCAA tournament. Once we hit a certain level, we will make it official that we are going. I've done I spent the last 3 hours working on this.
Holy
so it is
shit.
It is.
I was in bed reading, and then I was scrolling Reddit.
That's all right. There's a whole bunch of times you're doing stuff when I'm not working on stuff. So it evens out. And there will also be there'll be a little way that anyone can support and be a part of this whole thing if they want to. So we'll tell you that.
Okay.
That hopefully we'll unveil it on Wednesday night. That'll be the next time we're on a show, unless Caleb and I can talk about it on After Nebrasketball. We'll see. We will see.
Nebrasketball Hour.
Stay tuned. Oh yeah, Nebrasketball Hour. We changed the name of that show.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. Stay tuned for more on that. And if you're going to be going out there or want to go out there, here's another reason to do it. Come hang out with us in one of these cities if we can make it work. And last thing, if you know anybody who would be interested in being a part of this and getting just a ass load of mentions in front of an ass load of people, because if we go, we're going to break YouTube. We're going to break.
I think so. Mr. Beast is going to say, whoa, what's this I-80 club thing?
And so we're offering just an unbelievable bargain. And if we got one sponsor who wants to sweep the whole thing up, they can do it today. And
they can do the whole damn thing. They can do the whole damn thing. Here's a topic for you, Jack. This is tangentially related to what we're discussing right now. Do you want them to play in the Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday? Because I was just looking at the various locales. So right now, if Nebraska keeps this up, they're looking maybe at Oklahoma City or St. Louis because they're a good team and they would get priority in playing close by. Oklahoma City is Thursday, and St. Louis is Friday. What sounds more enjoyable? Going down on a Thursday, doing stuff on Thursday, a game on Friday, and then hanging out all throughout the weekend, or moving it up a day and starting the whole damn tournament with Nebraska playing?
I have different opinions for different reasons. For the purposes of us getting down there, I think I prefer Thursday, Friday. Saturday.
Oh,
no, I think I think you know what? I prefer Friday, Sunday either way. Yeah,
because it allows us to drive down on Thursday.
It gives us time to get there, miss one less work day. It does scrunch you on Sunday.
I don't have work days. I don't have work days on Thursday, Friday. Yeah. It's a great time of year for your boy.
I will and it scrunches travel Sunday night, but it allows you to enjoy. And here I go, but it guarantees happiness for a longer period of time, or excitement for a longer period of time before it's.
D'Lo says Saturday gives an extra day to book travel for the regionals. Yeah, Jack, have you thought about that? If you play on Saturday,
no, I absolutely have not.
You can already plan for the Sweet 16 the following weekend.
Probably need to get that package together too, don't I?
I think we
take
might.
The I-80 club to the Sweet 16.
I need to start looking up Nebraska bars in the various locations and sending off emails and saying, hello. I imagine the 3 hours this morning. Okay.
yeah, I got some ideas, but we will take any other suggestions. So.
Wow, what a time to be alive. Maybe Nebraska is going to Chicago in the Midwest Regional Finals. Wow, can you imagine? What a time to be alive. Should we just start this puppy with some basketball talk?
Yeah.
There was a comment a few minutes ago about, I can't wait to hear about another 5-7 Nebraska football team. Have no fear. We'll talk about the Husker football team. Did you see the stuff last night? Well, that was odd. We'll get to that. Nebraska basketball. You've been typing away. Matt Rhule's just saying weird stuff again, and I think everyone.
Okay, we'll get to that. I might have saw it.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, let's
Nebraska basketball.
Savor every day. Savor every day. Wake up this morning, open your phone, check that it's real. It's still real. Look at it for a while. Just think about it. Sit down for an hour and think about it. Look up all the ratings. Look up all the tournament projections. Enjoy yourself. You never know when it's going to be gone. You never know when we wake up for this dream. So I'll say it again. Savor every minute of this moment, because you are going to look back on it and say, I can't believe I didn't enjoy that more. I can't believe that even happened. Why were we not going more crazy than we were?
Well, people are asking you that exact question. I think you're talking to yourself right now. Why am I not using instead of use I words? Why am I not going crazier than I thought I would? Why am I not enjoying this more than I thought I would?
While that is true of me for sure, I think I have a similar profile to the average Nebraska basketball longtime fan. So
yeah,
sure. So I'm talking to them and me with this whole thing. So, but it's awesome to. It's fun. It feels a little bit. I mean, it's a different vibe, but if you wake up on a Saturday and you got a game you're really pumped about, kind of like a football day, but a little bit.
The one negative about today, because I am excited for it, I will be watching it. Little trigger, Jack, that it's on during the NFL playoffs, like Bills Broncos at the same time. Like we couldn't have this as this should be a 1:00 game, and you guys should be finishing up your post game during the first quarter of Bills Broncos, and then it's off to football.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. My last 2 weeks were so different than normal. I barely, not by my own choice, barely paid attention to the first round of the NFL playoffs. So it's not front of mind for me right now. So I didn't even think of that, if I'm being honest. But I agree. I'd like to have all those separate. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. It's disappointing. What time does the first football game start?
3:30. So it literally will. I mean, there's going to be a shitload of overlap. By the time you guys finish your post game, it'll be deep into the second half. It'll probably be mid to late third quarter.
And I think, I wish the Bills Broncos was the night game.
I do too.
That is the much more interesting game.
Yes, I thought Seahawks 49ers was going to be the early game today.
Yeah.
Especially
the games tomorrow are better. I like the games tomorrow better.
I'm excited for Bills Broncos. Not gonna lie, I'm excited for Bills Broncos. But yeah, going back to did Bruce just post his password? I think he might have. Bruce, delete that. I think you just posted your password in the Discord server. That's pretty funny. God, Bruce is 100 years old. I love it. There's a part of me that always thinks he's doing a bit, but I don't think that. I mean, this would be a pretty good bit to just keep doing this forever and ever and ever. All right, well, the password will just remain there. All right, that's pretty.
For
exciting.
What though? You know.
That's true. Is that his Patreon account? Maybe somebody just got a new password. Maybe they just got a brand new Patreon. And now D'Lo has a screenshot of it. Wow, this is very good stuff. Anyway, going back to Nebraska, who is on their way towards an 18-0 start today versus Northwestern. Are you concerned at all, Jack, that on a day like today, probably a sleepy atmosphere, probably an empty arena, like the thing that I had been saying in the lead up to the Oregon game, and I talked about this with you, and I talked about this with others, Robin Washit among them, just like we've seen Nebraska play so well against the it was this cat. Good word. we had seen focus, Josh, focus.
D'Lo says that somehow works.
It really is. So, Jack, we had seen Nebraska against name teams. And I will include Wisconsin in this because it's a program that has had a lot of success. Certainly Creighton, Michigan State, Illinois, et cetera, Indiana, Ohio State, like all those teams, varying levels of names and interest level from Nebraska fans in wanting to beat them, right? But the thing throughout that whole stretch, and I think it starts with the Wisconsin or the Creighton game. Or I can't remember the order of everything, so forgive me. I think it was Creighton. In between all of that stuff, they played bye games and they didn't look very good. And so in the lead up to Oregon, I was very curious, how will they play in a game where they are supposed to win and supposed to win by a lot? And we saw they won by 35 points, so they won by quite a few. This is, and D-Dub says kind of what I'm thinking here. Northwestern is such a weird matchup and bring your own juice game. I expect to grind. This is another one of those classic games, Jack, where it's like, all right, let's see what you got. Because we saw Michigan last week before they lost their game against Wisconsin. They did not play very well on the road at Penn State. That game went down to the wire. They could have lost their first game a game earlier. And that happens because it's college basketball. It happens in every level of sport where you got to bring your own juice. It doesn't, you don't perform very well. And so this is another one of those games that I kind of put in that bucket. And I guess if they have another comfortable win, like they've done everything that I need to see from them to believe that they're legit. But like, in a way, there's this almost like, wow, you did this too. You could win this game too. That I would give them a little extra credit if that makes any sense.
Yeah, especially if they did it comfortably. Going into Oregon, I definitely felt that way. Then when they did to Oregon, what they did to Oregon, that's taken a little bit of the edge off. But you're right to go back. The thing that sticks out of my mind when we go into these games going forward is just going to be the one time they haven't, they really haven't been themselves all year is not against the great teams or the good teams. It's against, like you were saying, New Hampshire. What was it? USC Upstate. That's when, because like typically I kind of have this theory that like, hey, if they just run their system, they don't really need emotion to run their system. They don't need to be hyped up. In those games, they could not shoot whatsoever, though, which is interesting. Like, I don't know if that correlates, if that's just random, if it correlates to something about the opponent, or if that is just, those are just the games that they couldn't shoot from three at all. Like they had legitimately bad games shooting from three in those games. And so that's the thing that I think that's the thing that can really equalize for them and has so far this year. That said, I am starting to be a little less freak outy about at least about that scenario, just because
Are you starting to think they might be pretty good, Jack? Are you starting to think this could be they could be a good basketball team?
I'm starting not to worry, and I still think it very much could happen at some point. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just it's not as much of a front of mind concern as I understand, as I get to know this team better, and I think what sort of fuels them, what they do well. I think it's amazing. I've talked to you about this before. I think it seems like Hoiberg's system and Hoiberg's coaching has sort of removed the need for emotion to fuel you to some degree. And it's also a good counter against teams who are fueled by emotion and may not be able to keep up the intensity for 40 minutes of the emotion. So I think that plays into how I think about games like this, where it's like, bring your own energy. Well, I don't even know if it's energy that's needed. It's just continuing to execute what they do. That
continue to be a good basketball team.
I'm not sure. Like, of course you need energy, but I don't know if you need it as much, at least the way that we're talking about that concept in this kind of a game. So I feel better about it. Yeah, I do. But I still wouldn't be surprised if there's a game where they have a clunker, especially an offensive clunker.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Like I know we had you on yesterday when we were simulcast on KLIN, by the way, in the 5 o'clock hour. It was really cool. It was a cross-hour simulcast from the likes of which we've never seen before. But we were talking about the idea of them going undefeated. And, of course, like that is not going to happen. They are not going to go undefeated. They will lose one of these games at some point in time. But the consistency and the even-keel nature of how they play is it's like the thing when I start imagining, Jack, all of the stuff that you're talking about and all of the sales pitches that we are about to give. It's why I'm so bullish on all of that stuff working out very swimmingly for us and for the program, is that like I think that they have that. And they were talking about it. Was it you? Well, maybe it was you and Schaefer on Unemployed yesterday. You were talking about how like this group doesn't care about 1986 and doesn't care about 1991 and doesn't care about even 2024, let alone 2014 or any of those other years. Like this group doesn't, there is very few handshake memes across the generations with this group into years past. Like they don't care. Why would they?
Mike asked me if I was concerned that the team would feel the pressure of not getting that first tournament win if and when they get there in that first game. And I was like, I don't know. You think about the player, like, do you think Price Sanford,
correct,
did he even know that when he came here. I mean, he may have, but his window of this program is as an opponent most of his career. There's just no way that's affecting him that much. And maybe less so for some of the other guys. Probably, if anyone, Sam Hoiberg, just because he's been here the longest and, his dad hears about it so much. But no, I'm not really worried about that specific pressure getting to them. Number one, because exactly like you said, most of them have a small window and you don't have that context as a fan. It looks very different. And then number two, like they're built in a way that they should be immune to those kinds of pressures and emotions and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So,
you know how for years you've gone to bed and you lay there and you think about Nebraska basketball while you're listening to that podcast that's an old baseball game, and you start thinking,
did that last night.
Bingo. You start dreaming, and what have you usually dreamed with Nebraska basketball? Like, man, that first win would be pretty sweet. Like, I wonder how I'd react to it. I wonder when these players, when this group, when they're going to bed and they're not thinking about the next game, but they're allowing their minds to wander a little bit, what their belief system is and how good they can be. Like, that's the thing that I really wonder about this group right now is we're all like, yeah, they're going to be able to win more than one game, but how many games can they win? I wonder how many games they think they can win.
That's the other thing.
They can go.
That's the other thing I said to Mike is like, they're not putting I've got to imagine if you're someone like Sanford or Rink Mast, like right now, the way you're thinking is, hey, we should make the Final Four. Like, right or wrong. But I guarantee if you're a player and you've done what you've done.
Why wouldn't you be thinking that way?
You wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You would be thinking, well, yeah, we're the number 7 team in the country. We need to turn this into a at least an Elite Eight or a Final Four run.
If this is a normal program,
that's what they've got to be thinking. Yeah, they're coming into the context of a college basketball player, I think, not so much a long-time Nebraska.
Suffering, yeah. You're undefeated. You're number 8 in the country. First of all, if you're not named Nebraska and you're undefeated this far into the season and you play in the Big Ten, you're probably a top 4 team in the country, but I digress. But if you are that and you're a fan of a normal program that has had varying levels of success, I'm not even talking about like Duke or UNC. I'm just talking about anybody. If an Illinois team was this good this far into the season, they wouldn't be like, man, I hope we get to the second weekend. They'd be like, well, where's the Final Four at? Should I start booking hotel trips? Should I start booking travel?
That's where the pressure point is in the players' minds. Now, Husker Framu points out, and I think he's right. He's like, the tourney pressure is a different animal, though. You get down 4 under 2, and the sphincter can really tighten regardless of history. And that
definitely
sure, because your season's over when that game's over. Correct. And especially if it's a potential upset, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I was going to be in this setting. That would be more of the pressure that I would be worried about. But again, like I said, I still think this team is built to be more resistant to those sorts of pressures than the typical college basketball team. So that makes me feel a little bit better about it.
And Jack, you hit on it in the varying, shows that you've done after games. And I know I've talked about it too, but this team's ability to not need one specific player to perform every game and that they can just fall back on a variety of guys, Frager coming through. Of course, we talked the other night, favorite, who's your favorite current player? But the fact that it's like, sometimes it's going to be Rink and sometimes it's going to be Jamarcus and sometimes it's going to be Price and sometimes it's going to be Frager. And then obviously Sam is always going to do a variety of things, along the way too. Jacobson, who has really struggled offensively. I know you and Johnny talked about it last Saturday, and what did Johnny say? Basically, like, he seems afraid to shoot sometimes, and I think that very much comes across on the screen. I haven't seen this team in person yet this year, but every time I watch on TV, I always think like, man, he just doesn't look like he wants to shoot it. Even he had some big shots. He had some big makes at the end of the Indiana game. Like, that is, and D'Lo says it, so many options and also unselfish dynamite combo. Like, it is I thought the Indiana to the Oregon game, and I know that they were very much different in terms of how they unfolded, but like, look at the box score of Indiana and look at the box score of Oregon and look at who led the way against Indiana and who led the way against Oregon. I mean, it's like, whoa, if you were just dropped in, you wouldn't know who the best player on the team is, who the player they need to be the best on a night in night out basis is. And that is awesome.
Arguably in both of those games, Rink Mast had off nights offensively, at least in both of those. And he is, I think most people would say he's their biggest, he's their key player. He's the most important player on the team. He's the one.
He's the most important player on the team.
But I mean, it is built in as the price of doing business, no pun intended, that there are going to be a couple of guys that aren't going to be hitting offensively, that aren't going to be huge off of the main core. So I guess I would consider that Rink, Price, Jamarcus,
Frager in there,
Frager,
and then Sam.
Those
Would
are
you
probably
put
your
Sam
four
in there?
big scores. I don't know if
Sam is just
I'd
such a
put Sam, because Sam, it's not abnormal for Sam to have 4 points. I don't
correct.
think. It would be
But
odd
the impact that he can put on the game,
but
is,
if the
is
rest
other,
of either
like
of
5
that
steals
other
and a half.
and if any of that other group only had 4 points, it would be a little bit of a different deal, it feels like. So I think those 4, it feels like you can always handle at least 2 of them not being huge offensive contributors. That's what D'Lo was talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Mo says this team has showed up every night like they're focusing on that game and that game alone. They appear to be in a great headspace, as evidenced by coming back from 16 down. I think that's a great way to describe it.
That was the thing that turned me, by the way, when I realized that I have a different mindset than they do, because I was coping. I was telling myself this is what we really wanted. I was doing all those things I had discounted. I was going back to the old Nebraska basketball world. This was going to come. This is not a game you can come back from. And then the amazing thing about that game, Josh, to me is I thought it was insurmountable, and they surmounted it in 3.5 minutes.
I know it was like that, and suddenly they were right back in.
It was so freaking fast. Like, you let your guard down. It's, I don't know. It's such a fun system and game and strategy to be a fan of right now, because they can strike really fast. They can come back quickly. If you have got to be on your game the whole damn game, or they're going to start to find the weaknesses. It's just so surgical and unemotional. Kind of reminds me of Bud Crawford boxing a little bit, to be honest. Not that any Nebraska teams need to adopt Bud Crawford, but like, in some ways that's kind of how it's like. He'll get in these fights, and Errol Spence is going right in, throwing haymakers, fired up, talking crap, all that stuff, and he'll just kind of sit and wait. He'll sit and wait. He'll stick with his strategy. And then it's always like, during those fights, you're like, okay, he's going to, at one point, the other guy's going to get exhausted or get away from his strategy, and he'll leave an opening. And that's what that Indiana game felt like.
One more thing, Jack, on this. You said something there a couple of moments ago that had a thought in my mind, and that is the thing that I think you really got to like about this team is they don't think like you. I think the worst thing that can happen as a fan of a team that has never had success, or it's been a long time, like, of course, immediately my mind started wandering to the Cowboys. When I watch the Cowboys in the playoffs, I feel like they have the baggage of the last 30 years, and they feel like I do as a fan of, like, oh God, we better perform. Like, I can see it. I can see the stress on their faces. I can see the strain in their performance. And that sucks as a fan. Yep. And, I know Red Sox fans felt that way for 86 years. Like, oh my gosh, they are going to fall apart because we mentally, as a fan base, have fallen apart too.
Right.
It's only January still. It's only mid-January. But for now, you don't get that vibe from them.
That's a really interesting point, because talking about the Groin Kick Chronicles, we talked about the moments where you could feel it in the stadium that no one believed. The weird thing is, though, even though I think the core Nebraska basketball fan base has that fatalism like I have, you can't really feel it. The games themselves do not exude that at the home games, if that makes sense, right? I guess you're not there, so
I'm not there. I mean, so I'll acquiesce to you on this.
I'm curious if people understand the comparison I'm making, and if they agree with me. But I know you agree on the football ones where you could feel it in the building.
I mean, Jack, the one, you and I were both there, and it's a game that was number 5, I think, in our rankings. It was the Fort Mill, Iowa game, where that block punt happens, even though Nebraska is still up by multiple scores, and immediately we're all like, here we go. Like, we knew what was about to happen in front of us.
But anyone who was at the Michigan State game, and frankly, there aren't that many close home games to pick from, so you kind of have to pick that one. But like, anybody who was at the Michigan State game, there was no sense of, oh no, here we go again in that. And maybe that's just because the way that this had it been a season where Nebraska was, instead of 13-0, they were, 9-4 at that point, that it would have felt differently. But perhaps that's why. So even though I think that is baked into the fan base, you don't feel, and that leads me to the other thing that I was just going to say, Josh, in terms of atmospheres, the home games, I don't care. Every single home game, the rest of them, whoever's coming in. So that'll be Washington, Illinois, Purdue, Northwestern, Penn State, Maryland, Iowa. I don't care who the opponent is. They're all going to be sellouts and hyped up crowds.
Mhm.
They are there. It is going to be. It's even if it's Penn State, right? I think that is going to be. I think that's gonna. It's not going to feel. It's not going to feel sleepy in any of those games, like maybe some of those non-conference games did.
We were so excited for the lead up to the Michigan State game in particular, and like, whoa, that could be because you and Caleb started talking about it like weeks before. Wow, if they went 2-1 or even 1-2 in the Creighton, Wisconsin, Illinois stretch, like they could have this record going into that game, and then they went undefeated, and so it was a great night. Jack, depending on what happens over the next not even month now, especially with the Michigan and Illinois games, when Purdue comes to town on that Tuesday, like it sucks that that's such an early. Wow, it's a 6 o'clock game. That kind of blows. But like that should be quite the night. If Nebraska is, what, 2 more losses at most by that point in time, if they keep this stretch up and they go into that game where it's like another top 10 game, well, that would be the first top 10 game, top 10 on top 10 inside the building, because the Michigan State was the first top 15 on top, 10 game. Like, imagine if they got to that where it was a top 10 or even a top 5 matchup where it was like, this is maybe for a 1 seed, like or this is for the top of the conference standings. Like, imagine if that's the conversation that we're having ahead of that Purdue game in a month.
Yeah. I mean, there are going to be crazy atmospheres and coverage and interest at Michigan. I mean, imagine when Illinois comes back here. They are pissed.
Seriously.
That team is downright. Of any team, I think they are more annoyed by Nebraska. In the way
Sunday afternoon, no football to worry about. Sunday the 1st, like, whoa.
Even a little late, so people get after it a little bit. It's kind of like that Creighton time slot. So you got that. You mentioned Purdue, and then you're going to have the game at Iowa, but the last game you're going to have freaking Iowa coming here.
Iowa at home, late afternoon, time change. Like, people will be hopefully good weather.
It's going to be there is going to be so many, no matter what, even if Nebraska picks up a few losses, there are going to be so many huge feeling games. You're going to wake up and have the feels in your tum-tum on a Wednesday.
Yep.
For a bunch of these games. And it's
one
awesome.
of my best friends.
It's so cool.
One of my best friends, he texts like that every game day. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. And he's like, oh, but it's only January. Why am I feeling this way? And it's like, buckle up, everyone. This is how it's going to be now for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I mean, cool. Today and next Saturday when they play at Minnesota, that's as low key as it's going to get for the rest of the year, which are still, it's still exciting because it's a game day, but them being road games against the bottom teams in the conference, though, it's going to be big. It's going to be big games, one after the other, in a way that we've never seen.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Indeed. So
Nebraska, but I do want to wait.
Yeah, well, you can't. You gotta wait just a few more hours. Nebrasketball hour, 5:15, 5:30ish, somewhere in there tonight, with Jack and Caleb recapping what happens in Evanston, Illinois.
Real quick, Jack, one final thought, and then we can move. I'm going to be interested in the teams.
I was really I thought I was doing a great job of setting us up to move on, but keep going.
You are, no, but I had a thought and I want to say it. Sorry. I was thinking of that Illinois game. Final thought, because it seems like Fred has done such a good job scheming against these teams. I'm really curious what coaches that see him a second time will be able to do and really have time after experience against them, if that is neutralized a bit. Okay. Now to your transition.
D'Lo says, when is the watch party? We got to figure that out, Jack. We got to figure out when we're doing a watch party.
I think
for
UCLA,
the West Coast games, right?
UCLA for sure.
So that's the second. That's the penultimate game of the regular season.
Yeah.
So that's not
maybe Iowa at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. But
yeah, basically our thought was a super late road game, which there's only one of those this year at UCLA, because the USC road game is early. It's at 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
We could do it then too. I think those are your 3 best options. At Iowa, at USC, at UCLA. UCLA, I think, will pretty much lock in, because
You're going to Washington on Wednesday, right?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know yet. But
we couldn't do that with Caleb. Yeah, we couldn't do that.
He'll go to all the home games, and I'll go to some of them.
Yeah. All right. So another reminder: Nebraska Ball Hour coming.
Unless you and I did it, if I didn't go.
Yeah, we could do that. I'd be down. All right. So that's what we got going on. All right, Jack. Talk a little football. Did you see the stuff yesterday with Nebraska's head coach Matt Rhule?
Oh, I saw Sam tweeted something out. Now I'm vaguely remembering this.
So Matt Rhule was on the network show, And so some of the quotes started coming out.
That's why
in the
he
6
was
o'clock
getting
hour.
okay.
Yes. Yeah. You were
On a
probably like,
Friday
where the
night?
hell are the isn't
on a
that
Friday.
strange?
That's why I was confused,
Yeah.
because it was on a Friday night. Okay.
Yeah. So we have some Ekeler stuff. We also have some running back room stuff that we could get to as well. You know what? Let's do the running back room stuff real fast, just because I don't know if there's going to be as much discussion. But BC tweeted out last night the quote, "We believe in those guys and we're going to roll with them." That was Matt Rhule talking about the running backs, which I'm still a little flabbergasted by, and I hope that this is just posturing ahead of the Marty Brown end of Miami season on Monday night. I really, really hope that
Or
that's
preparing for the contingency that it doesn't work.
Oh my gosh. Connor writes, "Oh no, football talk. Sorry, Connor. Here we go." So that's what he said about the running back room. So here were I got 2 quotes saved. Justin Frommer from the Hastings Tribune had one. This is about Mike Ekeler. He has some decisions to make. He did a great job. Our goal was to make a jump this year and outplay Iowa in special teams, and that didn't happen. So there is a lot more meat on the bone. I'm grateful for what he did. The other one, both of these, Jack, I think are going to get your head turning. This was the one that Sam had. It's not about playing special teams for special teams' sake. It's about helping the team win. If there's one thing we can do better next year, it's not for the glory of the special teams or the special teams coach or whatever. It's for the unit. Not everyone likes that. That was Matt Rhule last night on the Husker Sports Network. Jack, your thoughts?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously.
So there's some unhappy people with each other, it sounds like to me. Holy cow.
Jack, do you remember in the
Man.
season there would be various videos that would, and Alex writes, "Whoa, indeed." Do you remember, Jack? There would be videos of something happening. These were like the October games, and the special teams would do something really, really well. And there would be video of Mike Ekeler being a crazy person, and he was like, "Yeah." And then Matt Rhule was like, "Get away from me." And there were some who were like, "Do they not like each other? That's pretty weird." And then the majority opinion was, "No, he's just focused," and "No, they don't."
Rhule talked about it once, jokingly.
He did talk about it once. Yeah. Are the people who thought maybe there was something odd going on, were they right about this?
I mean, those quotes are pretty unambiguous, Josh.
Yes.
While he doesn't exactly say it, it is hard to take those in any other way other than that they did not have a good relationship, right?
There was a response to the Sam tweet. And it was like, "What does this mean?" And Sam was basically like, "I think you can figure it out."
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't think
Sam's
there's a whole lot of ambiguity reading these quotes.
When did this? I guess my question is, when did this show itself? Is it sour grapes after the fact, or was this something that was happening during the season? Or things didn't go well in the last couple of games with special teams, and that gave rise to it, or what?
Well, so this all really started picking up chatter this week when Rhule went on that what was that, Zach Gelb show? Did you see that? I can't remember if we had done because your week was a little wonky, obviously, so I can't remember when that happened. But one of the things that we learned in that interview, which I had not heard in the season, Jack, was that he offered him an extension, and basically it was like he was going to be the second highest paid special teams coordinator in the country, which I think was going to put the number at about $1 million. So he was going to get a pretty big raise, but apparently Ekeler never signed that. And so, like, to answer, that's a way of answering your question.
Was happy enough at one point. Yeah.
Did it start then? Did it start when
sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like if he offered him the extension, he obviously still wanted him to coach there. It wasn't bad enough that he wouldn't pay him more and keep him there. But maybe the fact that he wasn't taking that and they sat down and talked about it and it didn't go well. I don't know. That's speculation, but obviously there was some point where the road got divided between the two of them.
Yeah. Adam says Rhule can't handle sharing the spotlight, fragile ego. Connor writes,
I don't know,
like
man. I don't
chill
know.
people lonely. I'm just a chill guy.
But okay, but let me I know there's a lot of momentum and I understand it to be frustrated with the head coach here. Just keep in mind. Yeah. I was I have a different perspective of Ekeler than everyone does after this. I mean, I had it coming into this, and I have a different perspective of that dude from two different.
So you're handshake memeing with Matt Rhule. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I just wouldn't quite be so quick to completely believe that all of the unreasonableness that might have led to this came from one side. That's all I would say. I don't know what happened. I will continue to say that, but
look, Mike Ekeler, that's a long way of saying Mike Ekeler is a weirdo, right? Like Mike Ekeler, there's the famous story of him just like saying something. If they did something in practice, this is in the Bo Pelini era, I'll go run a marathon. And he started running a marathon on the interstate. And he got like a cop pulled him over. Like, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to run a marathon on the interstate. Obviously, I mean, there's something about him, right? That he is just always turned up to 1,000,000. But I think that plays a part in why the special teams is as good as it is. Is he someone that I would want to work with? I don't know. Does he deliver results? Yes. And that's the part that I feel like is inarguable in this entire discussion. I know that the special teams kind of shit the bed at the end of the year, right? Like, special teams took a step back. They had a bad November. They had a bad bowl game. They kept returning kicks for no reason and losing field position. They also went 3-1 in October. And Jack, without their special teams, I think that they would go 1-3 or 0-4 in October. And, special teams was the difference between making a bowl game or not in 2003 or in 2023. It was the difference between going 6-6 and maybe 7-5 or 8-4.
Agree 100% on all that. Yeah.
And so that's the part that I am just like really trying to figure out, like, why is this a good thing?
And just to be clear, I'm not, as I said when we talked about it last time, I don't want him to leave. They should make a priority keeping him, all of those things. I still believe all of those things. All I'm saying is that if there was a falling out,
you understand
you don't necessarily. I think the temptation will be to think of Rhule as the bad guy in that, where
because of the timing of everything and how the program
because of the timing
trending,
right? And there's frustration with there's just frustration with Rhule right now. But I think it probably there. And again, this is complete speculation, but I don't think Ekeler is necessarily easy to work with in those situations.
No,
either, would be my guess.
Keenan says it's crazy to me that Rhule can see the jump from last year from the year before to last year and think he can make a comment about being annoyed we're not better than fucking Iowa in year one of the Eck experience. Yeah, that is so ridiculous, Jack. It's like I saw this comparison made in the Discord, I believe, yesterday. It would be like bringing in Holgerson and saying, yeah, we want to be good as, and then insert the best offense in football, and we weren't. It's like, is that like the level of expectation that he applies to every coach? We want to be the best in the country because that's what Iowa is. We want to be Iowa. You want to be Iowa 1 year into the Mike Ekeler experience?
No,
why don't you hold your offensive coordinator to the same level of expectation? Why don't you hold your defensive coordinator? Why don't you hold any position coach? We want Barthel to be the best running back coach in the country. Okay, why is it only Ekeler that got held?
No matter what happened behind the scenes, those comments don't really hit home with me.
They really doesn't.
But just because it seems to be ignorant of. I said this on Mike's show yesterday. It is the most clear correlation I think I've ever seen at Nebraska where the improvement is tied directly to a coaching change. It was so clear. It was so bad, and then it was so good. And it's special teams, so it's not as dependent on as much personnel.
Correct.
Not dependent on a quarterback on offense, for instance.
Jack, they couldn't snap and hold kicks. They couldn't do that. Like they were struggling with the most basic of basic things.
So I think him coming in, there's no question he did top line. He did a really good job. He really improved that team. He got them wins. I agree. Without that special teams playing the way they did, they probably lose 2 more games. The exact opposite of what we said last year. They probably win 2 games if they play average on special teams. So
I don't understand it. I just don't understand why this is a good thing. And so those quotes, man, I mean,
I'm surprised he would do that, honestly. Just, with his focus on communication strategy and PR and purpose for saying things. He doesn't strike me as a public sour grapes guy. He strikes me as a private sour grapes guy.
But that is starting to change a little bit, though. I mean, he started putting a little bit more blame at the feet of Scott Frost at the previous era. Like he is, I would say, and I don't want to just make everything about what happened at the end of October, but there really is this interesting now dividing line of how he is talking and what he is saying about the program now versus what he was saying about the program or big picture things. Because you're right. Like a year ago, I would have never expected this. Like, dude, Ed Foley's special teams were garbage. And he never went this hard in the paint about him. I mean, it was the typical, like, we're not good enough and we have to be better. It was that type of stuff. Not, I mean, good Lord, I could read that quote again. You know, I mean, first of all, we want to outplay Iowa in special teams. It's not for the glory of special teams or the special teams coach. Like, good Lord.
The glory of the special. Yeah.
What are we talking about there, man?
Man. But that kind of reminds me too. Remember the Monday post-game press conference, or the Monday after the game press conference after Minnesota, when he kind of went in on some of the assistants, and everyone was kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
That's what that kind of feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is even more personal because at least with that one, people had to guess on who was he talking about? Who was he talking about? I think it was Terry Braden. We know who he's talking about. There's no debate. Which coach could he be talking about when he says special teams coach's glory? I think that I have figured it out. Bruce writes in the Discord server, 100% Josh, he's getting defensive since the year 3 jump was not the prince that was promised. I mean, it certainly has that appearance, on its surface, Jack, that they're grasping for straws in a few ways.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Ekeler is the one coach that is getting pretty universal praise on this staff, including the head coach right now. How does that impact the way that the things that he said last week? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but it's hard not to at least have that frame when you look at it.
Yeah.
Matt writes, he was the golden child, I suppose.
Matt writes, it could be the message to the team that they shouldn't be doom and gloom with Eck leaving because they still had a lot that could be improved. I mean, I guess that is certainly, like, if you want to be forgiving of the comment, that's one way to view it, but that's not.
Yeah, but you say that in the spring, you say that on a Tuesday in the spring after you do a special teams practice. Like, hey, we had a good practice today. We can't rest on our laurels from last year. And even though we got a new coach in here, we still had issues. There's still a lot we can clean up here this year. And we're going to really focus on that with our new special teams coordinator. That's how you say that.
For sure.
Not on the radio on Friday night when he still hasn't technically left. I guess has he now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he, is it official? Is it official?
No, it's not actually. No, we're still, it's so funny. I got a text right before we started the show from somebody who's tied in with the program that says, you think Ekeler is gone? And I was like, I mean, yeah, it certainly seems that way with all of the ways in which everybody is talking about this entire situation, including Rhule now multiple times on the Zach Gelb show and then on the Husker Sports Network. So that is certainly the case, at least how I am reading it. But that's also, it fits with a lot of the stuff that we've heard behind the scenes. Mike Schaefer has really been on this story all week long. Mike Schaefer of Unemployed with Mike Schaefer, noon weekdays on the IAD Club YouTube channel. But Schaefer was one of the first. He was one of the first local. He was maybe the first local person that I heard, first local media member that said, this is real. Don't think that it's not real. Because remember the way that this all unfolded was like there was this weird USC burner account that just had a photo of Mike Ekeler. And it was like, huh? Could this be? And then a bunch of people were like, Grok, who is this? And so that was the first time that anything happened. And then Schaefer was the first person locally that said, be on the lookout for this. This could be something that is actually happening. And then his Thursday guest, Tim Verghese of Inside Nebraska, he had more to say. I believe it was on Thursday, and off to the races everybody goes.
Well, now they got to hire, someone who doesn't get them. I mean, I'm not going to expect what they had in the first 2/3 of the year this year, but they've got to hire someone that it will not be a liability like it has been for the last 3 coaching staffs. Mm-hmm. It's still one of those systemic things that goes through multiple coaching staffs and has been a problem, but probably peaked, I would say, in 2024, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do here.
Yeah.
Adam says, WTF is a Zach Gelb. There's some relationship that he has with Rhule going back, I think, to the Temple days. I think he's a Pennsylvania guy.
That, like, kind of, I don't know, like tough looking guy. He looks like, I don't know, looks like a bodyguard. I've seen Rhule do a lot. That's kind of how.
Oh, wow. He does kind of look like a bodyguard.
Yeah, I think that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he does a YouTube show. Wow, imagine that media in 2026 doing a YouTube show. Jack, can you imagine what that's like? Like and subscribe here, please. D-Dub says, think of the best salesperson at any company you've ever been at. I guarantee they have some personality traits that are weird or even crazy. The leader's job is to get them what they need to succeed, keep them from doing something really dumb, and then get out of their way so they can go create lots of revenue. Rhule seems to want to eject these types of high-performing teammates for grad assistants and small college guys he's giving their big break to because he can control them.
I
mean, think about it, Jack.
Interesting way to put it.
When you get to the highest levels of sports, whether it's coaches or players, you hear all sorts of stories about how strange they are, how weird they are, how, like I'm a Cowboys fan, people forget. And it seems like there are players on like George Pickens, for example. Sometimes he doesn't show up for meetings. Sometimes he's late to meetings. Sometimes he's a kind of a strange cat, right? But the job of a head coach is to get everything possible from him on Sundays. That is the job of a head coach, because there are personalities like George Pickens on every NFL roster. Not everybody is, I'm going to be there early, I'm going to stay late, I'm going to do literally everything that you ask of me. That's how it works. Coaches are like that too. And so, I'm sure that, Jack, you and I have some quirks that our bosses are probably frustrated by from time to time. But their job is to get the most out of us and to hope that for me between 2 and 6 and you between 6 and 9 and then 5 and 6, like you're delivering, what you can. And I think we do. I think we do that for our companies, right?
How about I get so involved in writing up a sales proposal that I forget that we have a show at 9:00. And then I text
you and say, hey, are you coming?
I'm the Pickens of this team.
Maybe that's what happens.
I'm who D-Dub was describing in that first sentence.
Yeah, maybe that's what happens. So,
weird or
but
crazy.
In all seriousness, like that's the job. And so he is like, he delivered, and then some. I am still blown away by the level of increase in performance that we saw from the special teams year over year. And it wasn't always perfect, but it was way better than it had been. And they scored touchdowns. They blocked stuff. They made kicks. They snapped the ball properly. They did all those types of things. And it's just like, man, unreal.
Yeah, man. I just, you would hope he would say, man, he did a great job with us. He's got an opportunity there that he wants to pursue. I wanted him to stay. I tried to pull out the stops I guess it's not official yet, so we wouldn't say that, but that's kind of what you would say, I would think, right? We're really disappointed he's leaving because we thought he did a great job here, but we're not tied, just because we got to make a change in position coach doesn't mean that we expect or think that quality is going to be any lower at this point. And that's going to be the mentality that we take into that. And we expect to even be even better at special teams next year with the building blocks that he provided, basically.
That's what I would say. Like, we had growth. We're always looking to get better, but we're really happy for what Mike Ekeler was able to do. And hopefully we can continue, that into 2026, Yeah. The oddity of this, I think, is there are two things. Well, there's a lot of things, but a couple things in particular. There was a contract offer that would have made him really highly paid. He apparently didn't sign that. He's going to take a pay cut tax-wise alone to move out to California and coach at USC. Pretty interesting. Like, what does that say? There are obvious questions to ask of, like, what does it say? I
still do wonder if he wanted another coaching title, though, and that wasn't ever going to happen at Nebraska.
He did, and he does. Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty simple explanation.
Yeah.
Because his first stint at Nebraska, that's what he was coaching, right? Linebackers.
Yeah. And if you go and look at his resume, he has been a special teams coordinator and a position coach many times. Like, that's not a rarity for him.
That's the funny thing. When his name first started popping up, I was like, wait, he's a special teams coordinator?
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I was like, I thought he was going to be a defensive coordinator was where he was going.
Yeah.
I think he did actually a couple of jobs.
I think he has been a defensive coordinator 2 times. There was Indiana about a decade ago.
Indiana under Tom Wilson.
Yep. And then, Tom Wilson. And then where was it? North Texas in 2016. Otherwise, it's a lot of linebackers and a lot of special teams coordinator, and often both at the same time.
Right. My perception of him before really paying close attention, because he might come to Nebraska, was that he was still the defensive guy, not the special teams guy. So
yeah. And then you immediately started diving into his numbers, and it was like, holy shit, this guy was awesome at Tennessee. Like, whoa, what a hire this could be for Nebraska.
And to be honest, not to pile on with the role, like, I was surprised.
Well, he talked about it in the first presser about it. Like, people told me I should hire him, and I didn't want to. Like, he said that.
Well, no, but I was just surprised Ekeler has turned in.
Oh, you're surprised that Ekeler had turned into this kind of coach.
This whiz special teams coach, because I don't know that that's who he was ever as a defensive coach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he's not, listen, it's not, he obviously kept a job. He had a lot of jobs, but I don't know that I heard him as heard about him as like a rising star in the coaching world. I mean, he's in his 50s now, I would guess, if he was in college in 94. So, but I'll always have, I will, listen, maybe it's,
54.
I was talking about sour grapes from Coach Rhule. Maybe I'll always have sour grapes for that dude, Mike Ekeler. I always will. So,
because he played for Kansas State, or because of the personal interaction? Little call me.
I mean, it goes back mostly to the weirdness of that whole Kansas State act, and just like, and I don't know what was going on there, but it was like words and videos don't explain how bizarre it was, and what a bad time it was to do that, and to sort of pick Nebraska, because he was like, the whole shtick was Nebraska didn't want him, and so he was like on this one-man mission to destroy them, or that's how I remember it anyway.
How'd that work for you? Ekeler, the 94 team, got beat by a third-string quarterback,
and he got decleated on the kickoff. Special teams coach by either Joel or Jeff Makovica right in front of me. It was hilarious. My first in-person interaction with him was me directly taunting him from a distance, albeit me directly taunting him for getting knocked out by a Makovica. Knocked down.
Knocked down. Yeah, not knocked out. D'Lo. Alex says, dude's got hit in the head a few times. Yeah, he certainly has. So that's the latest on Ekeler. Still not official, which is odd, but
he's coming back.
Yeah, I think we can
call it official, Josh. I believe we can call it unofficially official with those words. I thought it was I didn't have any hope that it wasn't going to happen for 48 hours. So
it's going down. Yeah, it is definitely happening. So that's what's going on with Nebraska football right now. As D'Lo said a few minutes ago, the vibes are so bad. They are indeed so bad. But you know what, Jack? They're not bad with basketball.
Right. And as I talked about with Schaefer, overall transfer portal situation, a slightly better than I expected, I would say, when you do the net between departures and arrivals. I would say it's slightly better than I expected.
Yeah.
Maybe more than slightly.
Yeah, we didn't even get a chance to talk about that today, but it seems like they're keeping all the receivers. It seems like they're keeping almost everybody that you would have wanted to come back. Famously, Jack and I knew always that Vincent Shavers would return. We had no debate in our minds or on a bonus podcast.
Same with Ja'Cory Barney.
Yep, we had no debate on if he had reportedly entered the portal or not. They lost Dylan, but that was so expected starting in
I don't even really count him in the transfer portal, even though he is. But I think of the group after that. Keona Davis, I think, was the big one.
Yeah, I would say so. So it's like him and Dylan.
And he was to be honest, he was heard a lot about upside, saw flashes, but he was not even he's not a sure thing either. Mm-hmm. The hope is you get a different defensive line coach in, and he would have popped. RVP will pop. A lot of those guys who didn't pop last year will. That's what you got to get. Talk about an important hire this year. That's it. D-line coach.
Yeah, and they finally announced that yesterday, so that's finally official. Corey Brown. So we'll see what happens there. And then now the big question that I have is there a possibility of landing Marty Brown, or are they actually going to stick with the running back room? Because
if they get him too, I will definitely say it is above expectations. For my expectations. Does it calm down, everyone?
Here we go.
I'm not
Jack's
saying they're going to back on the bandwagon. I am not saying that they're going to the Big Ten championship. Calm down.
Here we go. Everything's fixed. Everything's fine. GBR, Nebraska to the Big Ten championship.
I hear they're having some of their best offseason workouts they've ever had.
They are lifting weights. They are pumping iron. They are sweating.
They had a team-only meeting a couple of days ago.
Wow. The new quarterback, he's really short, but he's really fast. You hear this? He's like 5-something. He's really he's a tiny man.
So was Joe Gans.
Position. So was Joe.
That's the comp that I sort of have for him. Joe Gans. I don't know if that's
Interesting.
accurate or not.
I actually think I saw somebody write that in I think maybe Sipa
really?
said that in a chat or Sean
Now,
said it in a chat.
I
So
do
maybe they're
that
borrowing your brain.
now I do that having never watched film of him after he transferred and not really remembering anything I watched and just looking at his
Matt says that I'm
measurables.
hating on short kings. No, I'm not hating on short kings. I was just saying he is short. Not hating. Don't put it on the internet that I'm hating. Do not put it on the internet that I'm hating. Do put it on the internet. Do put it on the internet that we have the Nebrasketball hour coming up later today at about 5:15, 5:30. Jack Mitchell, Caleb Henry.
Special teams coach, PR talk. Yes.
When's the last time that you and Caleb did a post-game show? It's been eons. It's been you and me and
After
Caleb
Michigan
and me
State.
and you and your – that's
Michigan
2
State,
weeks
right?
ago.
January
wow,
3?
That was
Is that the last
ago.
one? Is that the last one?
Is
Because Ohio State was. Do we do Ohio State or did you do?
Well, you didn't do Ohio State, but I did Ohio State.
I didn't
with
do
Caleb.
Ohio State. You did Ohio State with Caleb, and then
Yeah.
I did the
You
weekend
did
with
Indiana,
Johnny,
and then
Johnny,
I did
and
Oregon.
you and Caleb. So yeah, last one we did was Michigan State.
Wow,
We got everybody in the mix. That's nice.
Yeah.
We've got a rotation of people. Got some good depth in the quarterback room, one might say.
We really do. The best part about the Nebrasketball hour right now is that when it started this year, we were like, wow, this is going to challenge for the most watched Nebrasketball pod that we've ever done. And now every episode does that and destroys all of last season. We very much appreciate it. 300 to 400 live viewers every damn episode now. We very much appreciate it.
I am afraid that there is a room somewhere every week where Lincoln Arneal and Jeff Sheldon meet, and it's a dimmed room, and they are planning a fall volleyball state offensive to take back their rightful spots
at the top
of the leaderboard, which they owned completely until about December. They had our 8 of our top 10 shows.
They were talking trash on their show, like, hey, not to brag, we're the number 1 show. This happens. Yeah, like they were doing that. They were dropping those nuggets. Well, sorry. In the words of Michael Jordan, I took that personally. And so here we are.
Personally. And so they don't have a great opportunity. And so I'm just worried about the offensive that they're going to mount.
They're in the lab right now.
To get back on.
John Cook's going to be a regular co-host. Like, who knows what could happen with volleyball?
Had Nebraska gotten to the Final Four, we might still be chasing some of those numbers.
I think we would have,
but also maybe not.
Thanks a lot, Nebraska. You absolutely blew it, and you could have given us some of the greatest content in the history of everything. But then everybody was sad. So anyway. Yeah, like and subscribe. We'd love to have you. We appreciate everybody joining us.
Get us
today
for the
Saturday morning coffee show. Get us to the tournament. Jack will have more details on that very, very shortly. We are pumped. Seriously, we will be there. And so we would love to have you a part of that. Patreon.com/I80 Club, though, is certainly the best way. We had a new member join us earlier today, Becky. Becky, if you're watching or listening to this, shout out to you. Thanks for joining the I80
Becky.
Club. Yep, indeed. All right, Jack. Well, enjoy the basketball. Enjoy the football, everybody. Enjoy the NFL action today. And we will talk to you for the Nebrasketball hour later on. For Jack, I'm Josh.